Hello guys, Art-Teeves here. This is the third and final part of my series that covers the process of texturing a Stylized Robot Gardener character model. Links to two previous parts are available in video description. Let's get started. First things first, I want to remind you of some technical details from previous videos. I'll be texturing this robot with 4K Rizom for demo purposes. My texture padding is set to 16. This model uses two types of opacity. One forms the transparency of glass eyes, while the other one forms the cutout of skirt and cuffs. It means that eyes can be grouped together, but shall not be grouped with non-transparent parts of the model, or parts that have different types of transparency. Parts that share the same type of transparency can be merged into a single object without any problems. I've set subsampling to 16, defined my suffixes as LP, HP and ignore, switched most occlusion settings to same mesh only, and set the highest possible amount of rays on all tabs. This baking attempt failed miserably. Apparently UVs of leaves and stem were too small, so their edges looked bad even in 4K Rizom. I didn't cut this out, despite the fact that this mistake seems pretty obvious. Anyways, here's how we do it. This time I only bake normals and set my dilation to 0. Then I go to my project's assets and export the normal map I got to a separate folder. Then I rebake the whole model again. At this point I didn't delete the high poly version of the robot's neck, but I'll do it later. The general tip when baking such objects is to have your low poly objects as smooth as possible, and only bake chamfered edges to edges that have at least a single chamfer. I send my normal map to Photoshop, go to its blending options and activate color overlay. I use white color for overlay and black color for background that will also serve as a cutout mask for our model. We will use it as a mask, placing our new texture into the grayscale input of our mask fill layer. We want to add an opacity channel to our masking material and also enable opacity by changing our shader to the one that has alpha blending. Now we have the layer that has a general cutout map. It is contained in a separate masked folder. We can play with the mask itself, painting cutouts on one-sided object. Also, enabling that opacity shader just made our planes render as two-sided objects. I use default steel painted horn material for most metal parts of our robot. I play around with basic color settings of the layer itself, it dust and rust colors. I like adding blur slope filters to rust layers, so rust becomes way less real and transforms into some cartoony cheap thing. This step is absolutely unnecessary, it's just something I enjoy. You can also duplicate the material you have altered, change its color a little bit, and use it with some kind of a weathered paint smart mask. Next I create a dust fill layer and give it a rust ground default smart mask. I increase the layer's opacity in its blending options and also increase its roughness. You may also want to play around with its height at this point. Before texturing glass parts, make sure that you don't simply detach them, but enlarge them slightly so they intersect with other parts of the model properly, instead of sharing the same plane or edge, otherwise you may face Z-fighting. The Z-fighting I've mentioned before is a visual artifact that occurs when two or more polygons in a 3D scene are positioned so close together that the computer struggles to determine which one should be displayed in front, leading to flickering on the screen. For eyes, I use an altered version of a Glass Visor default smart material. I create several duplicates of this material, alter their roughness, and apply various smart masks to them to create some kind of a glass texture. I create a fixed paint layer, set all of its blending options to pass through, and use a clone stamp tool to hide visible UV seams. To increase the quality of your stamps, you can use multiple layers with different opacity settings, or alter your brush flow now and then. Make sure to enable all materials on this layer, so you don't only paint with base color, but also roughness, metalness, and other vital parts of your materials. No one will be looking at your model under a microscope, so you don't actually have to paint stuff like a real artist would do. Basically, you simply want to break straight lines, so your seams aren't visible from afar. Sometimes you may want to rotate your lighting to spot some seams that may be hiding in shadows. I won't be showing you the whole process as it is pretty long and repetitive. We can use slightly altered versions of our main material for other parts of our gardener, including boots. Since we are modeling a stylized character, we may want to highlight edges using a curvature section of Mask Editor settings. Apply it as a generator to a fill layer. Once again, we cover UV seams on boots. Also, we may want to apply something like ground dirt to boots to give them some kind of a gradient that will connect our character to the landscape below, ensuring a smooth transition. Let's also get a lighter version of the same material, nothing special about them. If you want to make her arms able to bend on animation, you may want to give them some kind of rubber texture. Also, in that case, we'd give them much more polygons and would also try to make their polygons as close to square shape as possible. That would also prevent some ugly deformations. I've cut out the part of the video where I conceal UV seams on our gardener's hands. I did it the same way I fixed the skirt. I've altered the neck material slightly to remove some weird chips it got from our blur slope thing. I've also added a lighter version of the same material to our robot's head and slightly different one to her head. The head also got a low roughness fill layer that was masked with Dirty Leaks Dry default smart mask. I don't have many metal brushes, so I've made several alphas out of turned metal pictures I googled previously. Some pictures were taken from Pixabay, the others, however, didn't have a proper license, so I don't want to show them here. Alphas must be black and white, so we make ours the same way we made a cutout map out of a normal one. There are few options to get the desired result. The first is to create a paint layer that only has an opacity channel in it, and then simply paint anything you want. The second is to create a fill layer, mask it, apply a paint layer to the mask, and do basically the same while maintaining control over that layer. If your brush doesn't remove something or is inverted, you can still invert the mask at any time. We may be hitting some rear objects with our brush, so what we want to do here is to put our opacity folders into an extra separate folder, mask it, and only apply it to transparent objects, meaning skirt and cuffs. I won't be showing you the whole painting process as it is pretty repetitive and straightforward. At some point I create another fill layer, mask it, alter its transparency and color the way it looks like weathered rusted metal. Then I use the same brush we used as Cutout Alpha to paint rusted contours of torn metal. I've also reduced its height just a little bit. We do this to highlight our contours. Then we repeat the same process, but this time with a layer that is a lot brighter than the rusted one. After we're done with painting rust, we repeat the same trick, but this time create a metal layer that resembles torn steel. We want it to glisten in the light on our gardener's turns. The one thing to consider before making eyes glow is to give them some basic material. I prefer to use the preset Dusty Plastic Smart material. We do this to ensure we have a backup plan in case we want to alter our emission map someday or disable it completely. I go to the Texture Set Settings menu, enable the emission channel and add emission to some materials I've assigned before. You can also play around with emission intensity and flare post effects, however they won't get exported to different software. I start texturing the flower placeholder by applying a preset creature skin material to it. I like the way it works for some organic objects. There is nothing special going on here. The one thing I wanted to mention before applying a heart sticker and ending this video is the fact that you shall obviously export your opacity maps in PNG file format, otherwise they won't work in some software. To apply a sticker, I create a new folder, add a fill layer, place my sticker into its base color input field, fix its position and size, and give it a slightly positive height value. You can obviously alter its roughness slightly. I also changed my settings so that UV projection thing doesn't repeat. Finally, I turned the sticker layer into an anchor point and refer to it on a different layer that controls its roughness. You can see my every action in the video. And this is it. Thanks for watching, guys. If my videos are of use to you, be my guest and subscribe to my channel for more stylized content. And most importantly, have a great day.